This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Okay, Tracy, let's play guess the stat, actually. I'm going to say that. How many hours of video, for the first stat, is how many hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every day? How many do you think?
Just thousands and thousands. I don't want to put a number on it.
There is a number. It's 500 hours a day.
500 hours? That's it?
Yeah, it's not that much.
Oh my gosh, I'm kind of shocked.
No, I thought the number was going to be like 7,000 hours or something.
Wow.
A lot of people that are posting stuff on YouTube, but apparently,
Actually, kind of reassuring.
yeah, it's not that bad, I guess. So 500 hours of videos are posted every day on YouTube. It's still a lot, but not as much as I thought.
Not really. I don't know. Yeah. When you think about the world, like the world of people, like I am actually surprised.
Maybe TikTok is more. I didn't like Google TikTok, but I'm inclined to think that maybe on TikTok there's a lot more because I feel like people post more on TikTok. That's just my
Yeah. Yeah, you're winging it on there, you're not. You're being a little more intentional on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, next stat. What is the Guinness World Record for most cups of coffee consumed in one day? There's a Guinness World Record for this.
I mean, I'm the worst guesser. 24, probably too low.
82 cups.
Ugh.
Someone drank 82 cups of coffee in a 12-hour span or 24-hour span, and there's a Guinness World Record for that. I don't know how they did not have a heart attack. That is terrifying.
I don't approve.
You know how when you go to restaurants, they'll give you like bottomless coffee sometimes, and the waiter will just like constantly come in like, "You want more coffee?" and like trying to refill your cup. I get anxious when they do that too much because then I walk out of the restaurant like, why am I shaking? Why am I so like this? And then it's like, well, yeah, 'cause I had 5 cups of coffee. I didn't even realize because they kept refilling my cup.
They're just topping it off and you lose track.
Yeah, you tracked. And it just like, I can't imagine drinking 82 cups of coffee. Okay, for the last question.
Not be interested in that.
Well, me neither. No, I can't. It's terrifying. Last question. What's the loudest animal on Earth?
Oh my gosh. I love this because it's not a number, at least.
Yes.
The loudest animal on Earth is some kind of bird, maybe like a parrot or something. I don't know.
I would say kind of close. It's a bird of the ocean, the sperm whale.
Fascinating. This is just a fascinating start to the day here.
Their clicks can reach 230 decibels, whatever that means. But apparently that's the loudest animal on Earth.
I mean, from a volume perspective, that makes sense.
Yeah. So the sperm whale. Guys, that was Guess the Stat, and welcome to Fully Managed. You guys know the drill. This is where we talk about marketing, we talk about business tips, and we assist you guys in your business journeys. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's partnership coordinator. And with me today is a very special guest, Tracy Petrucci from Petrucci Marketing. How are you, Tracy?
Good, and much better now that I have those new stats in my back pocket.
All of those random facts just ready for you to use them at a party.
Can't wait.
Thank you, Tracy, so much for being here. I'm so excited for our episode. And to kind of get the ball rolling, we've obviously learned a little bit about you. I've gotten to talk to you for a little, playing the game, but let's, introduce yourself. Tell us everything that we got to know about you, about Petrucci Marketing. Your favorite color, favorite food, whatever it is you want to tell us. Floor is yours.
Okay. Well, one of my favorite stats back at you is I really don't have any favorites so much. I don't have a favorite color. I don't have a favorite band. I don't have favorite. I just don't. It's not that I don't like things. I just have never really found that I have favorites of things that stand out. So I really fall short there on the interesting level. But about the business, yeah. So my business started accidentally. I ran my first Facebook ad in 2007, and it was because I had just come out of school, marketing, global business marketing, and everything that we learned was about how to do a Super Bowl ad, how to do a billboard, like really big, giant, expensive campaigns that a lot of small business owners or just anybody that I knew really had no reason to do or need to do. So I saw an opportunity. I was working at my mom's store and I'm like, why are we not? What is this email marketing? Like, wouldn't you think we would want to email our clients and or the customers and get right in front of them? And what is this Facebook reel? What is this Facebook ad? And what is Pinterest? And I just started exploring all these things. And it was sort of an accident because then a store across the street, oh, I like what you're doing. I need that. And two of the wholesalers that we had in the store were like, I need that. And so I started having these clients, I didn't call them that back then. And they referred and they referred and they referred, and it literally to this day, all these years later, that was 2008, we're still referral based. I have 6 people on payroll and, small, still small, but we like it that way. We specialize in social media management and strategy, content creation, so short form videos, photography, the meta ads, of course, and email marketing. So the same things I did back then, we still do today. We do a lot of strategy, a lot of, I do a lot of consulting and stuff like that too. But the team, we're pretty niche and trying to do a really, really good job in this one area that we do.
Actually, one of the things that I think I got most interested in you when we were kind of looking for guests for the podcast was your website. I really like your website.
Yeah. Shocker.
I know a lot of people are very critical of their own websites, and I can't
Ah,
wait. I talk to a lot of agencies, and most of the time I will go into the websites and look at the website and kind of to get a feel of the person and the company that I'm working with. And I think a lot of times I see websites that are, and this is no shade to anyone, I'm not specifically calling anyone out, but
how interesting.
yeah. I feel like I see so many websites that are just so like, they make them so amazing and, they add so many things that they're hard to digest. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's like, yeah, they're very aesthetically pleasing, but then the UX part of it is really lost. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of just happening with the world right now where like people manage them. They're so focused on making everything so high tech that it's
Yeah.
almost not user friendly anymore. And it takes me a long time to even figure out what the specialty of these agencies
Oh, yeah,
is.
I have had that issue too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, "What do you do?"
Yes. I need like, if I'm going to a website, I need your information to be there front and center, clear,
Yeah.
so that I understand it. And I think that's what most people are looking for. And I think I really like that your website had that. Um, that you guys had very clear branding, and I like the simplicity of it because, like, I think the first thing that I read was, like, boutique agency and video creation, something like that, and
Yeah.
it really just, like, said to me, "Okay, this is what they do," and I really like that about, what you guys are doing.
No, thank you. I've actually been really annoyed at my website lately, because I made it excuse me, years ago, and I needed a photo, and I'm like, "Here's a pretty picture of a cactus." And, lately I've been like, "What is that? Why is there a picture of a cactus?" But the thing is I can't stand stock photography. I can't stand, like, I'm in a blazer and in a corporate office, and I'm gonna put that on my homepage. No, again, no offense to anybody else. It's like we can do better. And so even back then, I thought, I think a picture of the ocean or a cactus is still gonna be more in line with me than a stock a conference center photo or something. But I am actually wanting to refresh it really bad. So hopefully when I do a little homepage refresh, another thing that I hate about it, and it was so cute back when we did it, is on the homepage, there's numbers that roll and they have like animate. It's like
Yeah.
7,000 Facebook ads made. Okay, I haven't updated that since 2018. Like, you know how many more Facebook ads we've made? You know how many videos we've made? I can't be bothered to update that. And I am so honest. I am such a honest person that when we first made those numbers, I really tried to estimate like with accuracy. Like, I'm just gonna put a number up there. How many ads have we made? Like, I really tried to nail it.
Yeah, like you
It,
do the
it
math.
yeah, it bothers me to this day that those numbers are so outdated. So I'm probably gonna get rid of that, but that's not gonna take away at least from the straightforwardness. So that's great feedback.
Yeah, no, I like the straightforwardness. Like, I definitely think to anybody listening that's like wanting to do agency work or like, I even think any business, you're like the forefront of what you do. Like, I think unless you're a business like Coca-Cola that doesn't need to disclose what they do because everybody knows what Coca-Cola sells, you should put that like, just keeping it simple because I think it really helps someone kind of understand.
You know what it might be too is there's this idea, and I've actually been toying around with this, and this is just such a timely conversation before I change my website. Is there is this idea that, and I'm not saying that this is wrong, but what you said, it needs to be a combination. A lot of people say that that your website has to state the problem that you're solving, which I really believe in. But if somebody states the problem they're solving, they're still not technically saying what they do to solve it or what the services are. So in a perfect world, you would have the problem that you're solving, and right underneath that, the services in which solve the problem. That way you're like hitting both.
I think at least for me, it's like, well, you need to put the service first. Sorry. I was sick last week and I feel like and I went to a concert and like my voice is so weird.
It takes a
But
while, yeah.
um I think you need to put the service and then I'm not like a website design expert, so like bear with me, but I'm like the type of person that I think the first thing that makes sense to me to see is like, okay, we are a marketing agency. And then after that you can go into like we're solving the problem of video content for people. Like
Yeah.
that's the type
Yeah.
of agency that we are, because then that makes more sense to me. I don't
Yeah.
know though. So like you said, there needs to be like a perfect world where like both of these things are balanced. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked your website. I liked the
Yeah.
straightforwardness of it. I feel like I see so many websites that are just so high tech
Yeah.
and they're not user friendly at all.
Well, noted, noted. I love that.
Yeah, and I think what that really actually brings a really interesting point of the conversation, which is kind of just like I think when you get into this world of marketing, I think when you get really in too deep to anything, you forget, you kind of become so high level that I think people forget the simplicity of things. Because I sometimes feel like what I see is just kind of these people that are all very professional. They're all very experienced. They're all very, they know a lot. But then they forget that the people that they are appealing to, that they're speaking to, they don't know about website design. They don't understand any of those things. And I think it's sort of happening more and more where like there's a communication problem, where I
Mhm.
think people kind of lose touch because you get so it's like an engineer trying to explain to me in engineer words how a machine works, and I'm just there like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is something that I think about a lot is the formalness of people. And I may have been in business a really long time. I may be an expert at some things. I think I know that I am. I know that I'm not an expert at everything, but I know that I'm an expert at some things. I still am quite down to earth and I'm not super formal. And the thing is, some people don't maybe they don't like that. Like if you and I have some clients that are a little bit more on the formal front, a little fancier, a little bigger, and they're more in the corporate world. And I really bypassed the whole corporate world thing. I went to college, I started my own business. I didn't mean to, but here I am. So while I know a lot of corporate things, I have health insurance. I cover 100% health insurance for my team. We have a 401k and matching. I I can talk to you with some fancy jargon here and there if I really want to, but I don't like to. I have a really great example of this. Uh, it's so funny, and this has been coming up a lot this week. So I remember years and years ago, I was on a call with a potential client, and they said, "We need omni-channel marketing." And now, I'm embarrassed to admit, but again, part of, I think, me is I'm always gonna be honest and tell stories, even if they're embarrassing. I remember I had to Google it, and this woman, I don't think she even knew what she was talking about, but she heard it on a podcast or she heard it somewhere. "I heard we should be doing this." And she's like, "I want omni-channel marketing." I'm over here like, "Shoot, can we do that?" So I'm Googling omni-channel. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's like basic. It's just having a cohesive strategy across all platforms. Like your emails are going to be timely with your ads." And I'm like, which wouldn't that just be like a basic expectation of your marketing people, is that you're having an omni-channel strategy? So, it's there are a lot of formal things and formal jargon. And oh my gosh, a terrible one are all the acronyms.
Oh yeah.
Most people know the basic ones, ROI,
SEO,
BTR, but there's
KPI.
so many. Yeah, there's so many in so many data analytics acronyms that I literally still don't know them all. And again, once I, like, Google, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I can tell you what that is, and I can pull it up, and here it is." But there's a lot of, fancy jargon, and I don't think it evolves on purpose to feel unattainable or, inhuman. I think it just evolves because when you use the words a lot, you're gonna shorten them. It does happen
Yeah.
naturally, but yeah, I understand what you mean. Sometimes there's such an easier way to say the same thing.
I think there's just like a lack of I mean, like you said, I think acronyms, a lot of them come from just because saying search engine optimization and typing search engine
Yeah.
optimization is like, yeah, that's gonna take a long time. And the words search engine optimization sound very like, wow, what is that? And I think like it obviously is easier to just say SEO and to just
Yeah.
type SEO. But even with like the acronyms, like yeah, they evolve. Like you said, there's like an like I guess the oversimplification at the same time has kind of made it more complex. Which is like I don't know, I guess I've felt that when I'm scouting for people to work with the podcast, I'm always feeling like I'm always kind of prioritizing agencies that I feel like I don't feel that disconnect with, because I
Awesome.
definitely feel like that happens, especially with B2B. I don't know if that's your experience, but I think it's in B2C, I think we see people prioritizing the client, the end user a lot more because they know that it's the random person walking that's just gonna buy your
Mhm.
juice, right?
Yeah.
Um and so they're trying to do something that's more general, appealing to the general public. But when you're working with people like marketing agencies who are very niche and tend to have very niche audiences, I think it makes a very interesting kind of conversation because a lot of them are talking to you with the expectancy that you are also just as knowledgeable about marketing as they are. And I mean, I work in marketing, so obviously I know, but I think I always want to work with people that are able to navigate that because I believe that I don't know, you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm more inclined to believe that ev out of every single client that you have, there is a percentage of people that are working with you because they have no idea what they're doing in terms of their
Yeah.
marketing.
Well, I only work with those folk, though, when at least they trust me. And what's unfortunate is there are a lot of people in the industry of specifically the one I landed in, which is social media, where they really don't know. They just know how to post on Instagram. So because you're young and savvy and you know how to post on Instagram, now you have a degree in marketing and you can get someone results. And I will be the first to say social media management should be done in-house when possible. If you've got a niece who's like, "I can do that for you," and you have no budget, go at it. Like, have at it. If somebody can't afford everything that we do and I have to take something off, I always say social media management because you can get by doing your random ad hoc posts. Like, you can totally get by doing that, especially if there's a budget issue. There are harder things in marketing that you could start with outsourcing to somebody other than your social media management. If you're super concerned with community engagement and growth and how it looks and how it reflects on your company, how it reflects from a credibility standpoint, then you have to take it more seriously and you have to say, okay, is this strategy working? How do I put out a strategy that actually like meets my goals? But if you don't have to do it or you don't need to do it, you're not looking to grow, I am pretty loose about that kind of stuff, and we work in both B2B and B2C. I've never chose an industry niche. I've never chose a service sector. I have fun doing that. I think that, and in fact, whenever I'm hiring too, or like maybe we're gonna have an intern or I'm interviewing somebody to work with us, I always bring this up because I do, and this is completely getting off topic, but in the marketing agency space, you are not going all in on one company. We have quite a small client to team member ratio, so we can be pretty all in. But you're not. If you There's two types of people: the ones who like the challenge of, okay, now we have this client and they're in this industry and this is the problem they need to solve, versus the person who's like, oh, I'm a one brand kind of gal or guy, and I like to go in and just immerse fully and be the marketing person at XYZ golf company. And I know I have been in this industry long enough to know you're gonna fall into one of those two camps where it's too confusing or overwhelming to be switching gears and talking to this company and then talking to that company and then doing a strategy for this and a strategy for that. Some people want to be all in on one company. Some people get bored being all in on one company, and they do really well in an agency because you're jumping around and you're working in B2B and then B2C and then in this and then in that. And I have fun with that personally.
I think what you said about social media management kind of being the easiest thing to get rid of is so true. I think with kind of I think you don't even need like necessarily the 15-year-old, but I think everybody under the age of I think everybody under the age of 40 maybe. Maybe actually I'm go higher, under the age of 50. 'Cause I feel like
Okay.
I'm pretty tech savvy Gen Xers. Um, they're gonna
Yeah,
know,
I'm almost 42, so hold on.
but I don't know. I feel like there's plenty of millennials, and there's plenty of like yourself, like there's plenty of people that are savvy on social media. And
Yeah.
I know that like right now you see a lot of people clowning like millennial stuff on social media, but even so, like I feel like it's easy for a millennial to adapt to what's trendy with the younger audiences if that's what you're trying to do on social media or
Yeah.
understand kind of intricacies that happen on Instagram and TikTok and stuff or something. And it's easier to find someone that's not necessarily in marketing to do that for you, like you said. I
That's
mean,
what's true is these
yeah.
platforms did not start as business tools.
Yeah.
These platforms started for regular people to communicate to their friends, and they evolved. Yeah, they evolved because businesses are smart. I remember when Pinterest was invented, and I remember looking at it and being like, "This is so huge, like, this is huge for businesses," and then, of course, it blew up for businesses like they all do, right? I remember I've taught at a lot of adult schools over the last 15 years. So we're in San Diego, so Coronado, Poway, Encinitas. I taught a full college course at Mariposa College for years. I remember having to convince people, "Oh, Instagram is the next one," and everyone's like, "No, we're gonna be here on Facebook." I'm like, "Okay," and I'm like, "But I promise you, we gotta look at Instagram," and I would have to debate this with people and,
I
then
remember
Instagram.
pages were like the thing before
Yeah.
Instagram.
Oh my god, they're so much easier though to manage than Instagram, I will say, to this day. But then it's like, that to this point of then it evolved a lot. So businesses will always go where the people are, right? That's why, like, when all there was TV, the commercials are a big deal, or so there's more places now to reach the people. So of course businesses are going to follow suit and go where the people are going, and there are all these social media platforms. And then there was a time, I'm sure you'll remember, when Instagram was very polished, and it was like it was so easy to put together a month of posts for someone because it was photos only. You could go through all their photos and arrange them all artistically, and it could be green and then pink and then this and then that, or whatever. just some cohesiveness. And it was almost like an extension of your website. It was almost like, a catalog. And that worked for a long time until it didn't. Now I'm always telling people, well, I don't think people care about that as much anymore. And we have a little bit of one going on ours right now because ours was very chaotic looking because we do short form video for so many people and we love to showcase them. And it was looking like a hot mess. And I just couldn't handle it. I'm like, we had to put some pattern on our Instagram because it's killing me right now. And it looks a lot better now. But nobody really cares. Um, and if they do, I mean, then that's kind of on them, that's not on you. So, the point being that it's always evolving and social media didn't start as a back end business platform. So anybody, bringing it full circle to what you brought up, anybody can get on Instagram and post. Again, doesn't mean there's necessarily a lot of knowledge behind why they're doing it or how they're doing it or what they expect from it. That's the gap I find. But in tough times, yeah, just have someone else posting on your social media. It's not the end of the world.
I think what's really interesting is that we see a lot of young people, like very young. Like I think like it's baffling to me how the amount of teens, children and young adults who probably, I mean, they probably don't know like on like a technical level that what they're doing is marketing strategies, but they are. Because I think like I'm surprised by the amount of people that I see that know. Like if I want to cancel someone on social media, I need to put it in big block letters, like I'm like you knowing that and you being able to conceptualize that in your head means that you understand a little bit about, appealing to an audience and marketing strategies and like, like a
It's a
little
little
bit
bit of the pop culture side. That's a little bit 'cause I'm a 14-year-old and she's really good at video editing already. And she'll be like, look at I did a day in the life. And I'm like, what? And it's because they're watching and emulating. And I have
other.
very strict social media
Yeah.
limits. She doesn't have Instagram, she doesn't have Facebook. She has like 15 minutes of YouTube shorts and 15 minutes of Pinterest. I think this is where she gets it. But so she's looking at these influencers creating stuff. And, they obviously are older, they know what they're doing, so she's emulating them. So, yeah, it is sort of just being indoctrinated in, if you will, from a pop culture standpoint anyway.
I think,
Yeah.
like you said, like from a pop culture, because you're just seeing all of these other people doing like the amount of 15-year-olds that I've also seen that do like stop motion videos.
So cool, yeah.
Wow, I mean, stop.
It's
How do they even know how to do that? Without
doing doing like why of all things would you choose and
yeah, no, it takes so long. I've seen like
Yeah.
I remember because I saw like a girl who made like a day in her life, I think, or like a get ready with me, and then she did it in stop motion version, and it literally gorgeous. And then she made a
Yeah.
tutorial of how she filmed it, and it was like a whole day of filming it.
Well, they have the time. They have the time. So
What to me is insane is that, like you said, like we're seeing all of these young people who are becoming really good at video editing, who know all of these things. And
yeah.
like, yeah, you don't understand that this was before it was like a cinematography thing that people like had to sit down
Yeah.
and learn. And nowadays it's like with all of these social media things, it's kind of become like a part of all those things. I think just the involvement of softwares too, because I think, like we've seen how in-app editing has really just become so much better.
Mhm.
You don't need to have like a fancy editing service to do a lot of like video editing or like
Yeah.
um,
Well, and one
yeah.
thing I don't know how many questions you prepared that we're not getting to, so I'm sorry we keep winding into our own thing. One thing that, I do still reflect on though is the short form social media video is completely different than a very thoughtful commercial or something where you do kind of need a storyboard. You do kind of need to understand. This is where I said there's a gap between the basic things that are acceptable now that work, which are amazing, by the way. Like, we live in an amazing time as a business to communicate directly with people and just pop up a camera. Like we both just rolled into this right now, like no preparation. We didn't need makeup and wardrobe. Like we're just gonna chat and it will resonate with some people, right? You can do that now. It's amazing. But some of the other things, they're still the psychological parts of marketing. That was like was most interesting to me when I studied marketing. I was kind of going into sociology in junior college, and I'm like, this is fascinating. And then after you get through a couple classes, you're like, okay, now we're just putting fancy names on common sense things, and I kind of lost its luster. But I was like, I don't need to take all degree of this. I changed my mind. But applying that to people, I think what's cool and where it's all going is you don't have to necessarily convince someone to buy something they don't need anymore. Like, now people are finding things that they need. Like, we're not like, "Ooh, we're gonna make this really deep ad and convince you need this thing you don't need." I'm not into that. That goes against my philosophies in life. What's cool now, though, is it's like, okay, you know you need something. You're recognizing a need in your life. There's some problem that you need solved, and now we do need to compete with the other companies that do it. So there's still subconscious messaging, the way you choose to show something, the colors you use, the things you say. If you're talking about competing with others who do the same thing and you do want to, grow your business, gain market share, find new customers, all the things that why we exist as marketing agencies to help you do, I'm happy knowing we get to pop up in front of people that actually need what you're selling, that feels good, that feels right, but you still need to do a better job than your competitor. Just crazy.
I just think, like, also with the amount of content that is posted online nowadays, it's, you need a little bit more to stand out nowadays because,
Yeah.
like, yeah, the basic marketing is just not going to cut it anymore.
Quality over quantity. I just feel like that still stands true, maybe now more than ever.
I do. I think quality over quantity is still important. I think we're also living in a sort of dichotomy where human connection has become much more craved, and at the same and, like, I feel like I see a lot of people and businesses trying to create that sort of human connection aspect, and at the same time, we're kind of steering further away from it. It's like a push and pull. It's like, yes, we're trying very much hard to, like, kind of strive for that authenticity aspect, but at the same time, we're not. It's like a
No, I loved it, but let me
Yeah.
expand on that, because when I say quality, I'm not saying make a commercial like quality like that. I'm saying use a Bluetooth microphone. Cut the most interesting part about it's in the editing, it's in the final product. You can still just pop up something, talk, be authentic, but it is true that there is an art to editing it, presenting it, adding I hate when people post videos without closed captions. I can never have the sound on half the time I'm watching a video. That's the kind of thing though I'm saying. Yes, you could still though. Anything is better than nothing. Swap out a video. In fact, I have to talk to my clients about this when they don't believe me that people care what they have to say. Like, they don't believe me that people are going to be interested in what they have to say. I'm like, there are videos on TikTok that go viral every day of someone just walking with their headphone and the wind is blowing and I sound like crap. But what they say is valuable to someone, right? But again, if you have actual goals, business goals, these are just people too. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's why this is so complicated. Is both businesses and people are coexisting and mingling on these platforms. So there's a lot of gray area and there's no wrong or right way to do it. But if you're a business that's paying me money to make these videos, I'm definitely gonna be like, okay, how is it gonna be the most quality piece of content that you can put out there instead of just flopping it out? But again, if you're just a person doing it yourself, flop it out all day long. Like, it's always better than nothing to put something out there. Even if it's staticky, even if there's reverb, even if the wind is blowing, that's still good practice.
It really does kind of I think practice makes perfect because, like, I think those videos with the reverb and the wind blowing and, like, the bad ones usually I at least believe that they're the ones that at least help you with, um, getting over that fear of putting
Yeah.
yourself out there and putting yourself
100%.
on the camera. At least you're
100%.
doing that. I think that's, like, a
I
huge
agree. I agree. I agree. I do it. It's better. I 100% believe it's better than nothing. If you can't talk. And again, see, we are specifically thinking about the people who are poised and can stay a stream of consciousness. There are people that can't do that. Like, we have many clients who cannot do that. They can't put the camera up. They stumble. So yeah, if they're willing to practice and try, then they should. There will always be a subgroup of people that just doesn't come naturally to, or they don't want their face on the camera. Again, that's why companies like us exist, is we'll still find a way to get the message out in a video, even if it's someone like that who's like, well, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be the face of the brand, or I don't want to, I just would, sometimes they just can't do it. And you still have to figure out a way to get it done.
And I think like just kind of getting that out there is really going to help you. I think I've also realized, like story times are very popular, of like people talking about experiences and something. And I've noticed that the most popular ones on social media tend to be the ones where the person who's telling the story is good at making it engaging, making it exciting,
Yeah.
and with well, who kind of knows how to not yap too long and get people distracted, because like people as humans, we tend to talk around in circles a lot.
I do that for sure.
Yeah, and I think I really noticed like, oh yeah, there's an art to this, because you're not just turn on your camera and start talking. I mean, you kind of did, but also how to make your words inviting, enticing, kind of keeping people interested and wanting to hear your 3-minute long version of whatever. And I think mastering that skill is actually pretty I think obviously not everyone can do that, and I think it's pretty commendable to those people who can. So
yeah, a lot of the magic happens in the editing. One of our favorite things to do is prove to someone who's nervous that the video of them is gonna suck, when they see the final one, they're like, oh, people really good. Just like, yeah, we moved this around, and that really interesting thing you said at the end, we actually put that at the beginning. Like, like a lot of the magic happens after the fact. So, that people don't always know that.
I think that's totally true, and I think, Tracy, that's a great note to end this podcast on, because we are running over time.
What?
But it's been so great to have you on the podcast. I actually did not ask you any of the questions that I had prepared, because we were talking about such interesting stuff.
We'll have to have a follow-up, and I'll stay on track this time.
We have to have follow-up, yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. But before we end it, I do want to give you the space to promote anything, if anything that we spoke about resonated with any of our viewers. Floor is yours.
No, I don't have anything to promote. No. You can follow us on Instagram. We show little case studies and examples of said videos that we're talking about and ad results, but nothing really specific to promote. It would be great to have you. It's just at Petrucci Marketing, and send a DM if you did find us from this podcast. We'll be curious. And that's really about it.
Awesome. Yeah, I will be adding the links to your Instagram and your website on the description in case anybody would like to work with you. And Tracy, thank you so much for being here. Guys, subscribe, follow us, listen to us, anything that you can, engage with our content. Thank you so much, Tracy, for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.